At the last trustees meeting, we were talking about the difference between open source software, which is developed by a community of enthusiasts, and sort of commercial software from someone like Microsoft. And I think that there was a feeling that open source software in some way was really only for geeks. It was obscure, it was hard to maintain, and it required real specialist knowledge. And I just thought I'd really try and put a bit of a counterpoint on that. Um, by showing you this is the cat website at the moment, which is based on Joomla. Um, and if you look at the Joomla website, there are loads of really big commercial organisations, well-known brand names that are using Joomla at the moment as their content management system of choice. UK Ministry of Defence, the United Nations, this is their Joomla website. Samuel L. Jackson, the celebrity, the city of Boulder in Colorado, they use Joomla too. Heathrow Airport, and just a sort of academic one, the Graduate School of Arts and Sciences at Harvard University use Joomla. And I hope this sort of gives people confidence that it's not a really obscure esoteric solution. It is something that is widely used and used by big names. So I don't think that we're in too bad a company. I think there's some issues with the way that this particular template was developed for the CAT website when it went through its last iteration of development. My understanding is that this piece of software, Artisteer, was used in the production of the template for the CAT website, and having had a play and experiment with the software myself, my perception is that the templates it generates are a little bit clumsy graphically, and I think that probably a slicker result could be created by having a template coded from scratch. There are alternatives. There are companies like this company Utheme. They produce very generic templates. They're populated with sort of dummy content, and the idea is that you buy their template and then you spruce it up a little bit and create your own design from it. And I've done this myself. I've been experimenting with Lovey Dovey, which was a brand name which was created by EcoDovey, who do a lot of development work recently. They had some grant funding for loveydovey.com, and some people in the local business community were saying that the website was looking a little bit stale and a little bit dated, and so I thought, well, this is a nice hobby project to try and update it a little bit and make a sort of more modern front for tourism in the area. And so this is something that I've been just doing myself based on an off-the-shelf template by Utheme with a bit of tweaking. And I've not got exceptional coding skills, I'm not an IT professional, but I found things quite manageable. And one of the things where I think we could really improve things with the CAT website is that there's a thing that you can get called a content construction kit. And again, Utheme produce a really good one called Zoo, which I'm just going to open up in the background here. Now, what Zoo allows you to do is to create catalogues. So if you look here, blogs, product catalogues, cookbooks, movie databases, documentations, business directories. What all of these applications for Zoo have got in common is that you've got data in a very, very standard format. So for example, it might be short courses at CAT. Rather than coding each page individually and creating sort of a unique page for each course, you define a standard template, a bit like what you would do for a recipe, and in the template you've got variables that change, so the amount of time it takes to prepare, how hard it is to prepare, where the dish comes from in this example. Now for courses it might be how much the course costs, how many days the course takes place over, how many credits do you get for the course, what level are those credits at. So you could define these variables here, and you can create a list, and it might be working with Willow rather than Paella, it might be installing solar panels rather than spaghetti bolognese. And when you click through, what happens is that you get a little bit more detail, in this case about recipes, but in our case it might be a course catalogue of modules, it might be a list of members of staff and their sort of expertise and their qualifications and their research interests, it might be products in the cat shop, it might be books that cat publications have got for sale. So for my own personal website, for example, and that's the back end of that here, I'm creating a catalogue of the books that I've written, and that's been done using this Zoo template theme. So it's creating a bit of a catalogue, and similarly it could be a good technology to use for the cat bookstore. And the good thing about this is, although this looks quite complicated in the back end, what a content construction kit does by creating standard types is it means that if you want to enter data and information to update or to add to that catalogue, you don't need to necessarily be a coder or a web designer. You can get a form like this is in the back end of my website, and this is the sort of thing that Alan Shepard from publishing could enter information about, the name of the book, what category the book was in, a description of the book. See, there's a description there, an image that's associated with the book. What it does is it takes the sort of technical out of it. Once the coder, in this case Rob Barrow, has set up the general scheme of how the directory works and what the fields are, non-technical people can then go and update that information in the back end really quickly and easily. So I think this is a technology that we should certainly look at if we're going to do another iteration of the cat website, and I think maybe look at a template that has been built from code rather than a template that has been built from graphics, and I think that would result in a site that sort of looks a little bit cleaner and works a little bit better. So yeah, that's just my tuppence worth on the issue. I hope it's a bit of food for thought. I don't think Joomla, which is what we're using at the moment, is a bad solution. Just probably my final word on the matter, and the thing is that there are people that will develop Joomla outside the organisation. There are plenty of subcontractors that are happy to work with Joomla if this was a route that we wanted to go down. And the last thing I would say is that it's probably been a real challenge for cat staff in the past trying to work with legacy websites from previous iterations. I think what they've done really good this time round is sort of starting afresh with lots of different elements of the site, but I think next time again it's starting with a clean sheet and maybe thinking, where's the cat brand going as we move forward, what are we focusing on, what's important, and maybe giving people the freedom to start with a clean sheet rather than cobbling information on top of existing information and existing architectures, and hopefully sort of starting with a clean sheet and thinking, what do we need IT wise going forward. We'll be able to get something that is easier to update, easier for people to use, especially people that are non-IT specific, and hopefully it will be a better product and things presented better in the future.